All right, the recording started. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Good.
So yes, sir.
Let's make it bigger. It's recording. We're all good. All right, so I basically took the problems and rewrote it, changed some of the numbers, but it's basically the same kind of problems. I changed everything is the Chicago Thingamajig company. Thingamajig is instead of saying widget or nondescript product. But it has a paint booth for the outer case. I don't know what a Thingamajig is, but it has a case on it and a case is painted. It takes 12 minutes to paint a shell. There's an average of 75 cases in the queue to be painted. What is the average number of customers per hour? Let's change that to cases. Oops, sorry about that. Cases per hour that are painted. Well, it's Little's Law. What do we have? We have WIP. We have the flow time, which is, or not, I guess we're calling it rate. Let's call it rate. And we have the processing time. So what do we say? It takes 12 minutes to process something. That's not a rate. So that's 12 and it's minutes. How much is in queue at any time to paint? There's 75. What's the unknown? That. Well, what's the formula? It's WIP. Oops, sorry. WIP, if I could spell, equals R, and I use computer. Great. Once you get nervous, you can't type at all. That's the formula. We know WIP and we know T. So I have to divide WIP by T to get R. That's what we want to do. So what do we get? R equals WIP divided by T, and that equals what? Oops, I should put equals first. Equal, go up here, 75 divided by 12. And that's it. I can do 6.25 per
minutes.
What would it be? Well, time was in minutes. So what do you think this is going to be?
Minutes.
Exactly. What was the question it asked, though?
Hour.
We want it per hour. How do I change 625? I do 625 in a minute. How many can I do in an hour? That times what? 60 minutes in an hour? I can do 375 an hour. There's the answer. I'll post this file too. You have the video, you have the file. Let's do problem 2. Okay, the same company. This one I really didn't rewrite that much, but I rewrote it a little bit. At this company, accounts receivable processes 500 checks a day. Isn't that nice? They're getting 500 checks a day with an average processing time of 8 working days, which sounds excessively long. What is the average number of accounts receivable checks being processed in the office at any given time. Well, again, if we go back to the previous problem, and I just write these three things down, let's see what the story problem tells us we have. Maybe I'll do it over here to make it easier. 500 checks per day. What does that sound like? Sure sounds like a rate, because what we talked about last time, anything that has a per. What's the average? Well, how long does it take to process one check? 8 days, right? So that's must be the processing time. It's not a rate, and it's a time. So it has to be 8 days to process one check. So what is the unknown? Wow, it's a classic problem. So really, maybe I want to do it this way. I have rate, I have time, I have WIP. This is my current system, right? And what do I have? I have my rate is 500. My time is 8 days. So how many are in the system? How many checks are in the system at any given time in those 8 days? Well, it's going to be R times T. Wow, isn't that a lot of checks? And if I want to, I can just put a comma, and so I can make it easier to read. But then they said, what if it goes to 2 days? So if I have a new system, I'm still going to, my rate of checks processes 500 checks a day. That's the rate at which I think they're processing. But I only have, it takes me 2 working days to process a check. So if I multiply those two together, how many checks do I have in the system? 1,000. So what's the advantages or disadvantages of adopting the new technology that allows me to process checks in 2 days? Somebody like Hans, just give the answer. It's pretty obvious.
You have less checks in the system.
Less
You get-
checks in the system, and what else?
You get the money faster.
You get your money faster. Is that important?
Yes.
I think it is. All right, so this is Little's Law. Quick stuff, easy to do. Should you be able to do it this fast?
Yes.
Theoretically, should you, but you know, when you write the problem, you can do it faster than people that are just doing it like for what, the first time? And what am I doing here while we're doing this? What did I just do? I made the problem nice. I did this. So if I want to go here to view and get rid of the grid lines, I could copy this, put it in a PowerPoint, and show it to anybody. It's not much of a display, but you should be in the habit of, if you're going to do work in Excel or Word, to format it in a way that your boss's boss could like copy and paste it into their own report to maybe their boss. Not a bad thing, not a bad habit to get into. Not an easy habit for students to just start doing. All right. Next problem, also Little's Law. The Chicago Thingamajig Company. Average finished goods inventory is not 4. Is 2,500 thingamajigs. Not the workstation. They sell. not the best editing I've ever done. They sell 300 jigs per day. What is the average number of days a thingamajig is in inventory? Based on a 30-day work month, what is the month's coverage of this? Okay, so what do we do? Let's go back to the previous problem. I'm going to see what do I know and what do I need to find out. So I'm going to copy this over. Well, now I've got to read into the problem and figure out what it is. I have items, 2,500 items. They're in inventory. Is it inventory like work in process? It's not a time, it's not a rate, so it's got to be work in process. How is it stuff sitting in inventory in a warehouse work in process? It's not doing anything, nothing's being done to it. It's in storage, waiting for an order that has that item on it, and that order is then going to be filled. So it is kind of work in process. They sell 225 of these gizmos, thingamajigs, and again, it's per day. So what do we need to know? What is the average number of days a thingamajig is in inventory? So what's the flow time, or what's the processing time? What's the, in the case of a warehouse, there is no processing, there is no flow. It sits there until it's used. How long does it sit there? This is a relationship between Little's Law and inventory, which we didn't cover very well. This is the question I want to answer. So WIP equals R times T. So if I'm trying to solve for T, what is that? That is WIP divided by R. And what is that? Well, I just go here and I say equals, there's my WIP divided by how many I sell per day. It stays in the warehouse 11.11 days. Do I need all these decimal places?
Oh,
Somebody unmute and say no, we don't. I probably need that, 11.1 days. So it's really essentially 11 days if I was to just round it off to full days, but it spends a little bit more than 11 days on average. But now what's the question? Based on a 30-day work month, what is the month's coverage? Of this? This 2,500, what's the month's coverage of that? I sell 225 a day for 30 months, and I have an average of 2,500 in inventory. What is the month's coverage? How would you calculate that? So this is days coverage. I have 11 days coverage at any given time. And I have stays in the average inventory stays in there for 11 days. There's two ways of calculating it. Let's see if they give us the same answer. I mean, I'm proposing 2 days, 2 ways of calculating. If they sell 225 a day, how much do they sell in a month? Well, it's going to be 225 times the average month is what, 30 days, we said? So I'm going to sell 6,000 in a day. So if I was to do the same calculation for a month, what would it be? I would still have 2,500 divided by 6,700, or it would be 0.37 months coverage. Now I might leave it at this one at 2 decimal places. Well, 11 days divided by, what if I do 11 divided by 30? What if I take this 11 and divide it by 30 days? I get my same number. So that's the 2 ways you would calculate it. I would have just taken that 11 days and divided by 30. But if we changed this to months, and then still did the same calculation. So this is my days coverage. I have 11 days of sales in inventory at any given time, or 0.37 months of inventory in any given time. Again, it's weird because inventory is not processed, it's not built, nothing happens to it. It just sits there waiting to be ordered, but that's the process. The process is to sit there and wait. If you're playing on a sports team and you're not in the game but sitting on the bench, what is your job? To sit there and wait and let until and when and if you're called on to go into the game. It doesn't sound like you're doing much, but you're ready, willing, and able to participate as needed. All right, next problem. Perform an ABC analysis for the data provided. Clearly explain why you classified the items as ABC. Use 80%, 15%, 5% ABC schema to do this. This problem was taken from this website. In case you want to go there, it kind of explains it very nice. So what's the first step? I have my SKU. There's no numbers, but it's a furniture company, obviously. They sell beds, chairs, coffee tables, desks, ottomans, dining tables, bookcases, office chairs, wardrobes, computer cabinets. And seeing that the price that they sell them for, it seems to be, we're probably talking about IKEA, but not IKEA in 2023, maybe IKEA in 1989 or something. I don't know. Don't worry about the price. Don't worry about, and it's probably, if we assume it's wholesale cost, it probably becomes a little bit more realistic for what IKEA might be. I don't even know what an IKEA bed costs these days. Does it cost $160 if it's a 50% margin? Could be. Well, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to get sales volume. How do you get sales volume or sales? Just revenue. Let's just call it sales. That's what it is. And let's justify these. Let's bold it up a little bit. What? That's 12. This is also 12. Okay. Sales. How do I get sales? Well, I take my annual sales in units times, oops, sorry. Got to put an equal sign there. I click on that times and I get my sales. And if I want to put it in terms of dollars, I can do that. Do I need the, I don't need the cents.
Do you take the times costs?
Yeah, it's annual sales in units times the cost or the price that you sell it for. And maybe we should say price. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It becomes 400,000. And if I just drag this all the way down, it lists everything that I got there, right? all 10 of my SKUs. Again, I like to do it this way. Let's see. Let's circle in the whole thing. I'll do that. Do I need? Yeah, I can. I guess I can do this. The next thing I have to do is rank these. I have to do this. I have to probably put a, go to data, put this filter on it. Now what do I want to do? I want to go here. Once I put a filter, I want to say, I want it to be descending. I want the highest one first and then to descend. I want to do that on this column, and it will change all the other columns simultaneously. So we see that the beds were the highest, office chairs were second, and then it goes down to bookcases. People don't read, so they're not buying too many bookcases. I can take my filters off if I want, because this is really what I want to see. Okay?
Do that again.
Do you want me to do it again?
Yes, please.
Okay. You can watch the video over and over again, but now you get to watch, rewind the video, and you get to see it twice in a row. Let's say I'm in the home here. Okay, so I want to rank order all these things. This is a nice feature of Excel too. I go here, I highlight this stuff. In fact, I highlight the whole table that I want to manipulate. And I go to data, because we're playing with data now. And I want to say, I say filter, and it puts these little things. I don't know, pull down menus in each thing. And I could do it, if I wanted to do it alphabetically, I could do it alphabetically. If I want to do it opposite way, alphabetically. If I just want to have it ascending, I could look at that. It changes all the rows. It keeps the rows intact, but it does these. And let's say I didn't want to look at all of them, but I only want to look at, for some reason, things that started with C. So then I'm only looking at things that start with C. It's pretty cool. It's a tool that you would use a lot. So if I say select all, they all come back. But I don't want to order it alphabetically. I don't want to order it and only look at C's. I want to order it by sales, and I want it to be descending. So now I have my highest sales and my lowest sales. What are my total sales for this company? And I would probably take the filter off. I'm gonna leave it on. I would take the filter off. Let me do that, because I don't have a need to manipulate it anymore, and I don't want to make a mistake. So what's my total sales? Equals sum of all this stuff. So 786,000 a year. That's not bad for a furniture company if you only, like, you're the only employee and a few warehouse employees. So let's call this total. Now I want percent of sales. And then I probably want to put cumulative percent of sales. And I don't know, do we want that? We'll see. So what's my percent of sales? Well, I take, that's 400,000, and I divide that by this. Now I'm going to want to divide each one of these by this. So if I drag this down, look, if I, okay, so if I, sorry, that wasn't right. Great. Let's do it again. What's your favorite friend in Excel when you make a mistake? Undo. Equals this divided by that. Okay, it doesn't put it as a percent. How do I make it a percent? I don't know. I go here to home. I go here in the number thing and put percent, and maybe I'll add a decimal place. Why do I add just one decimal place to a percentage? This looks like okay, right? This looks like I put more effort into it. It's almost psychological. Now, if I start dragging this down all the way, what happens? Well, here I'm dividing by, if I look at this, I'm dividing by that total number, which is what I want to do. If I go down here and I click on it, I'm dividing by the next one. It cycles everything down a row. Well, I'm glad it's moving these down a row, but I want this to stay the same. So I really got to go here. And what do I have to do? I have to put a $sign between the E and the 20. What does a $sign say? Don't cycle it down as I sneak over, as I move down. So let's do that. And it doesn't. Yay. Now, what's my cumulative sales? I don't know. How do you do cumulative in anything else? The first one is just what it is. The next one is the previous cumulative plus the new one that you're adding. And if you cycle this all the way down, there you go. So let's block this out. Well, what do we say? It's an 80, 15, 5% scheme. So I want, the reason we rank ordered it, I want these. Well, this is 80, this is over 80, but let's do under 80 just to make it 80 or under. And 80.8, it's just, it doesn't really matter. Do I want to call here? Let's class. Spell class would be okay. For sure, this is an ASKU. For sure, this is an ASKU. Is this an A or B SKU? It doesn't matter to me that much. I might classify it as an A. I might classify it as a B. I'm going to use a strictly less than approach. And let's center that. So really the next 15%, and if I look there, that's 14.9 right there. So if I include those, so let's make this be all the way to, where did I say, was it there? No, that's 17%. So let's get rid of this one. And then by default, the last ones are C. Is this exciting or not really? Because there's only 10 SKUs. It's not, it's just to give you an idea of how to do this, okay? So if I block this in, I bold this, I add my column headers. Now what I might want to do is I don't know, let's give this a reddish hue. Let's give my, or salmon colored. Let's give this another tint of something. I don't know. That's too close to that color. Let's make this a blue color. Let's make this green color. Why do I shade it? Just to make it clear which is which. Okay, isn't that nice? I have my A, B, and C classification. What am I going to worry about? Well, look at this. I got two products that are cumulative 76.3% of my sales. Do I ever want to be out of beds and office chairs? Somebody say no. But let's look at my ottomans and bookcases. Ottomans are 2% of my sales. Bookcases are 1.1 of my sales. Do I ever want to be out of bookcases and ottomans? No, because if someone buys it, I'd rather have it in stock. But if I'm going to be out of stock on something, I'd rather it be these things in the green area than these things in the whatever color that is, salmon colored area. And then the B's are
sorry.
in between. Go ahead.
How do you do the cumulative sell?
Sure. Percent of sales, you got that, right? Now, I just was going to add that the first one is 50.1%. The next one is this plus this. So if I look at it, what I did, I highlighted it. It says it's G10 plus F11. G10 is the one before. F11 is the office chairs. I'm adding office chairs to the percent of sales of that. So I'm accumulating my sales. This is the reason you have to rank order it by this, or your classifications will be meaningless. I want to look at it where's my big sellers? What are the things that are making me the most money? I mean, look I have 786,000 in total sales. 2 items are responsible for 600 of that. Are they the important ones? Sure. Do you see how I did that? And then once I do it for this, let's get rid of these. And let's get rid of that. There's nothing to accumulate. What am I accumulating here? It's just the first one. It's right there. It's like a cumulative probability distribution, which we're going to go over again in a second. Remember, stats is theoretically a prerequisite for this, but no one ever remembers that stuff, any stats, when I get them, whether I taught them or anybody else taught them. So now what's the accumulation here? Well, it's going to be 50%, the 50.9%, plus the office chairs. I want to add that to it. Whoops, I didn't do it well, though. Here, that was bad. Let's start again. Equals this. I forgot to add plus. And I want to add that to it. So 50.9 plus 25.4 is 76.3. And as I pull this down, well, of course, it makes them all, because it takes all the formatting, including the shading with it. So I have to reshade these. Green is my default. Let's do that one first. And then I'll do these in blue. What I'm looking for here is that you did this. You got it ranked order.
How did you rank it order? Like, was it ascending to descending?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. So you can look back in the video to see how to do that. That's where I put now if I want to put, you got to be careful here a little bit, because if I put filters on this, I think I would want to just do that. Let's see what happens if I put filters on this. Let's say I want to rank order them by sales and I want to have it go ascending. Yeah, since I highlighted only the table, the total stays there. If I didn't highlight only the table, the 786, well, let's try it descending. Yeah, it makes the total go there too. So you got to be careful once you put totals in. So let's undo, And I'm going to take my filters off because I really don't need them. All right.
But why are wardrobes listed as or classified as C? I don't get it.
What happened?
Why are wardrobes listed or classified as C?
Because they, if I look at these, they should only be 5%. I went 80%. So less than the most I can get without getting over 80%. That would be these two. That's my A. Then I want to take my next 15%. And what is that? That comes out to 14.9. Just less than 15%, I classify them as B. And then the leftovers by default are C. Another way to do it, I don't really care how you do it. If I want to look at my smallest 5% of sales, I could do this too. That would only be these two, but what's another way of doing it? Wow, these are in double digits. They're my A's. If I want it to be above 3.5, I could classify these as B's and all these as C's. What's the difference between a desk and a wardrobe? They're all 3.1. It's arbitrary when it comes to these. I could classify them, I don't know, I could classify this as a C if I wanted to. It doesn't matter when you have 10 items. When you have 10,000 items, you want to do it in an automated way. So I don't care how you classify them. If you look at them and the data that I've given you and the problem, the most important thing I said is the rank ordering by sales, and then taking your whatever top ones you think should be A, whichever ones should be B, and then C. As long as you have some like rational scheme for doing that, you'll get full credit for it. If you try to do it without rank ordering sales, you'll get half credit for it because you missed the most important part. I'm trying to pick my largest sales items down to my lowest sales items. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Not everything is scientific. You can make it, if I want to have 10,000 items, I want to make it scientific. I want to take up to 80% of my sales, and then I have to decide if it's less than or equal to or just less than. And then I'm going to take my next 15%, no more than 15%, call them B's of sales. And then I'm going to take my next, whatever's left over is C. You're just trying to do general classifications of these things. Like here, that was a good point. These two are the same. If I look at wardrobes and desks, why is one B and one C? It was arbitrary because they just applied a rule. Normally, either make these both B's or both C's. I'd probably make them both C's if it was me, but it doesn't really matter. I might make the desk B because desk chairs, office chairs, and desks kind of go together, do they not? That could be a rationale too. So if you want to make this I would give you full credit if you did what I got written there, or if you make this a CSKU, I'd give you full credit for that too. I just want to see some rationalization somehow. Don't overthink it. Now my BSKUs are responsible for what? 11.8 of my sales. And I've got another, this is also, the CSKs are 11.8. It's only supposed to be 5%, but you know, if you have 10,000 SKUs, I can do that. If I have 10 SKUs, it's never going to be exact or pretty. Gee whiz, I could make these CSKUs and I could make these Ds if I wanted. Anything below 3. What's the rational way of looking at it? I don't know. Would I want to make my dining tables an ASKU? No, they're grossly under these. Look at this, 50% of sales. This is 25% of sales. Then it drops to 4.5. What business is this company mostly in? The bed and office chair business, right? Let's not ever run out of those. The next thing we don't want to run out of is these 3 or these 5. And then the things that we don't want to run out of, but if we have to run out of something, I'm okay running out of these. That's basically what ABC classification is. You want to produce these every day, every week. You want to produce these every week, every 2 weeks. You want to produce these at most once a month. That's the whole point of ABC classification. Do we got it? Ooh, we're overtime too. I'm going to keep going. If you need to sign off, send me a text if you were marked absent and we're here. Stay on if you want. If you got to leave, leave. But I will finish this recording because we started late because of my little computer error. Is that clear for everybody? I can't make you stay. I don't want to make you stay, especially if you have another class. Okay, so then we're back to the Chicago Thingamajig Company. Purchases a radial deep groove bearing set from a supply company, RDGB, which is the Radial Deep Groove Bearing Company. Chicago Thingamajig has an average demand of 4,500 thingamajigs. The bearing sets cost $25 each, and each order costs $100 to place, to process. And accounting has decided, not has decide, has decided to change, to charge an annual inventory holding cost of 20% of the cost of each one of these gizmos. Okay? If you have a fidget spinner, this is what is inside the fidget spinner that make you hold, you know, the knobs would be in this white part and the arms would come off of this, but this is what makes it turn around and keep turning, is a radial deep groove bearing set. So I want to know, what's the EOQ? What is the average inventory of bearing sets in inventory? What is, how many orders for bearing sets will be placed in a year? What's the annual holding cost? What's the annual ordering cost? For EOQ, they should be the same. So we'll calculate that. What is the total cost of inventory with and without including the product cost? So what are our variables? What's the demand? Well, the demand is what? 4,500. Says it right there, the annual demand of 4,500. Yay. What do I need to drive my equation? It's 2 times demand times ordering cost divided by holding cost. Take the square root of that whole thing. So I need my ordering cost. What is that for each order? Well, $100. What is my holding cost? Or I guess we need the unit cost first. Unit cost of the item, cost per unit of item. Each one of these things costs $25. I don't think fidget spinners sell that much. This must be a higher caliber. So this is $25. What is the holding cost? The holding cost is, it said what? 20% of that $25. So it's equal to 0.2 times that. So it's $5 a year to hold one in inventory. That's probably excessive, but it's all right. It's just numbers and a problem. These are my inputs. And these are all, well, these are units. It's just inputs. I can't spell input. All right. What are my outputs? EOQ. I don't know. What is my EOQ? It's equal to the square root of what? 2 times demand times ordering cost divided by holding cost. Close parentheses. 424 items. I would want to round that down to 424. Am I going to make 424? I'm going to probably make 425. It seems like a better number. Or if I'm making them in boxes of a dozen, I'm going to round it up, but I'm going to just leave it at that. Okay. How many orders? So this is, I guess this is part A. We've done that. Let's go here and put A, period. B, number of orders. People don't, hashtag also is used for number sometimes, even though social media made that less popular. Well, how do I do number of orders a year? Well, if my annual demand is 4,500, and I'm going to order 425 each time. I want to divide by 425. That gives me about 10.6 orders per year. All right. What's number C? Oh, I didn't. That is C. Sorry. What's B? I don't know. What is B? B is, what is the average inventory in stock? Average inventory. Well, that's pretty simple. Let's make this bigger too. It's equal to the average order quantity divided by 2. And again, I'm going to take that down to this. What's D? What's my annual holding cost? I don't know. Annual total holding cost. And then we have E, which is
Question.
total ordering cost. What? Yeah, go ahead.
How was that B? You say the EOQ divided by 2? Like how? Can you just explain
remember
it?
the sawtooth diagram that we had? And we said we order up to the EOQ, and it's and you theoretically smoothly consume it over to 0 over however many, average number per day you use. So that the average of 0 and EOQ is EOQ over 2. And there's nothing more complicated than that. It's pretty.
What is EOQ mean?
What is what?
What is EOQ mean?
EOQ? Economic
Yes.
order quantity. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you look in the slides. We covered that Monday, I believe. Total ordering cost. Well, I don't know. What's my total ordering cost? It cost me, how many orders am I placing? 10.6. How much is each order? $100, right? So if I'm placing 10.6 orders a year times $100, what do I get? It's going to cost me 1,000. Let's just do that. It's going to cost me 1,060 and 66 cents. Oops, that's my ordering cost. Sorry. I did ordering before I did holding. What's the holding cost? Oh, I don't know. What's my average inventory? It's average inventory times $5. So it's going to be equal to average inventory times how much does it cost? How much rent does it pay? $5. Dang, it's the same number. If those two numbers are different, what can I tell you? This number is wrong. If these two numbers are not the same, this number is wrong. And then F, what's the total? So what's my total inventory cost? F, total cost without CPU, cost per unit. So my total cost without CPU is what? Equal to that plus that. What's my total cost with cost per unit? What's the cost of the goods? Well, my total cost there is going to be equal to that plus, and it cost me $25 for each one that I buy times how many am I buying in a year? That. Well, that number is way higher. But I'm going to spend $25 times 2,500 every year. Face it, I'm just going to. That's a sunk cost. I have to. My demand is for these things are 4,500, and they cost $25 a piece. I'm going to spend that much money. So really, the only things I can adjust is how often I order and how much I keep in stock. That's where the economic order quantity comes from. So really, it's this small number that you're putting all your calculations on $2,000 when the total spend of the thing is 114. Now, how maybe I'm ordering 10 orders a month. I'm ordering 10 of these, placing 10 orders. Maybe I want to say, you know what, let's just order once a month. And if I do that, that's not going to change this number. You'd be surprised how little that number changes. But if you're doing this over thousands of items, saving $100, $500, $600, $1,000 over 10,000 items adds up very quickly. For one item, you can wiggle and change all kinds of things, right? It doesn't really matter. Rationality makes more sense. Who orders 424 of something? You're probably going to order them in boxes of 12. Well, if I divide that by 12, maybe it comes out exactly. But if that's your minimum order quantity, I want to order 35 dozen or 36 dozen. I'm not going to order 35.35 dozen a year. You know what I mean? There's math and there's rationality. So these, if we use the Gavor method of keeping this those are inputs. Oops, I didn't mean that. I don't mean it, I just undo it, right? I want to put this there. These are outputs. All right. What if I just created? Let's say this problem is different. What if I say we're going to order 10,000 of these things a year? And let's say it costs me $150 to place an order. And let's say the unit cost is $42.50. And the holding cost, okay, I'll leave the holding cost at 5%. Now look at it, just recalculates all the numbers here. So do I have like a template for doing this? Maybe. Should I share this file with everyone? I don't know. Am I a nice guy or a bad guy? What was the unit cost? 25. What's missing to really make it work right, as I probably got to put the holding cost. It's actually a calculation. If I just give you the holding cost as $2 or something like that, you can just put a number in there too. Got it? Now this problem, the last one, I'm not going to do it because it's 9:30 already. But I'll tell you where that you can find a video of it and only watch the first 9 minutes. Because I did the same problem. Oops, I did the wrong thing. I want to go. No, I don't want that. I want to go here to Firefox. I want to go to Canvas. I want to go to my approved sign-in. 88, yes, it's me. Then it gives me this like hope to reduce the number of sign-ins. It doesn't really ever reduce the number of sign-ins, does it? If I go here, video, how to do a single period inventory problem. Watch the first 9 minutes of this video. So, yeah,
I'm looking at problem 6.
Let's open it up in YouTube. Oh, it's only 442 views. That's not very much. If I signed into YouTube, it wouldn't give me advertisements. There we go. Share, copy the URL. Let's put another text box in here. Insert text box. Watch the first 9 minutes of this video. And what's the video? Right there. How does that work? Why was it? Can I embed? I'll leave it like that. Is that clear? Will it be clear to people? Is this clear to people? If you do the video, then you can follow along and do the problems. All right. Wow, look at that. 4 people stayed. I'm proud of you. Well, at least you didn't have class. I'm going to end the recording.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Recording has started. Record and transcribe. Stop recording. All right. I will